Adam Pope here for PopGeeks.com, bringing you an interview today with a legend in the world of film and entertainment. To list his credits would literally take the entire time allotted for this conversation. But just to give you a taste, this writer, producer, director has brought you film series such as Puppet Master, Trancers, The Ginger Dead Man, Evil Bong, so many more through Full Moon. Most recently, he has directed Quadrant, the first movie released through his pulp noir film label, which marks his 400th film release. It is a genuine pleasure to have you with us, Charles Band. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, the pulp noir, or the film noir sort of tribute label is definitely exciting. I actually shot the second movie called Death Streamer, which will be out in October, and they both turned out super well. And excited to do darker, creepier, bloodier, more booby movies.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch Quadrant, and I've reviewed it for our site. And this is what's interesting. So many movie fans like myself, especially those of us who grew up in the age of the video
Right,
rental store, we have a
right,
special place in our hearts for full moon features. And
right.
so, but with so much success under your belt, such a volume, 400 films under your belt, like a lot of people, it feels like would have maybe just stepped back, say, I'm just going to be the producer now, and let other people work behind the camera. So, what motivated you to direct a film like Quadrant?
Well, first, I don't want to step back until I'm forced to by end of life. So I enjoy what I do, and yeah, I've done it for a long time. Sometimes I feel like I'm the puppet, and someone else is sort of pulling the strings. Like, keep making movies, Charlie. As a matter of fact, I wrote a book a few years ago that did quite well, published by HarperCollins, called Confessions of a Puppet Master, right? And it ended where I stopped telling my story around the beginning of COVID, and so much has happened since then. I've gone back with the biographer, and we're halfway through a new book called Horror Puppet, which is exactly how I feel these days. Sometimes it's like, okay, now what? But no, I love the process, and I wanted to go back to movies I've made, like From Beyond and Dolls and Castle Freak, just darker, edgier films. I had a long stretch of making some lighthearted, weirdo movies. Evil Bong, I made 9 of those, and Ginger Dead Man. Those were fun, and that was sort of the mood I was in. I mean, we did make Baby Oopsie. We made more Puppet Master movies. We didn't abandon sort of what Full Moon is known for. But it's been a long stretch since I've made a real edgy movie, and I've had this idea of doing these pulp noir movies for some time. And I figured, well, even though it's a full moon release, let me kind of put them in this pulp noir, bracket. And what's unique about them, other than I think I'm making some pretty good movies, is first, they're sort of conceived and shot for both a color and black and white release. So about a month roughly after people see it on Tubi or Full Moon Features or Amazon, we're going to release a Quadrant in black and white. And I think people will, if they're into that, they'll look and go, oh, okay, now I get why he lit it this way and why this is sort of in shadows, and, trying to follow the film noir vibe. And, I've done other movies like that people may not realize were sort of conceived as a film noir. Back in those days, the great direct-to-video days, you couldn't release anything in black and white. They would think you're nuts. Blockbuster would say, no, Charlie, we're not stocking a black and white movie. But Trancers, as an example, was conceived as a black and white movie. I actually have a black and white version, which one day we'll release. But yeah, so pulp noir is looking really good. What did you think of Quadrant? You saw it.
Yeah, well, I liked it. I just, again, like you're saying, like, we have a small cast, but a very like committed group of characters. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
especially, this Aaron character is something new. And that's what I was interested about, because Quadrant has a very virtual reality based, focus. And you
right.
kind of did that way back when with Arcade, right? Like it's an
Yeah,
area that you stepped in before, but now virtual reality is truly becoming like a reality for the everyday person.
right.
In your mind, are you using virtual reality in Quadrant? Is it more like from the perspective of, okay, well, this is kind of like shocking but thoughtful storytelling I could do starting here? Or do you have like legitimate concerns how, the virtual reality could, enable darker tendencies like the Aaron character in the film? Like what?
Well, first of all, Thanks for saying all that. I think the cast is terrific, and
Yeah.
I think people are more into smaller, character-driven, clever stories than the $200 million. Like, let's just have 8 million special effects for over 2 hours and just numb your brain, and you forget who the people are. So I'm happy with the performances. I think Aaron, the gal, Shannon Barnes, who played Aaron, is fantastic and has all sorts of shades. Regarding virtual reality, um, no, I look, I don't know. Every time there's new technology, the world's coming to an end. And, when the telephone came out, people thought that would end all polite society. And it never does. I mean, yes, we can make the case that the internet and cell phones and it's shifted things enormously, but there's been a lot of good as well. I mean, this is beyond Star Trek. When I used to watch Star Trek as a younger man, I thought, God, wouldn't it be cool to have a device where you can communicate this device is 50 times better. I mean, you have the wealth of the world of knowledge, anything you want out of this device. The only bummer is you can't get beamed anywhere yet. We're not there yet, but that's going to come one day. There'll be some way you'll get zapped like a fax somewhere else. But returning to virtual reality, um, in Quadrant, which again is a totally character-driven story, when they're in this Quadrant helmet and they're, I don't want to blow the story, so I just
Right.
say
Yeah.
basically, there's a reason why that's created as a medical device, and of course our gal uses it more as a thrill ride, and next thing you know, she's inspired to do really bad things, and sometimes topless. I'm sorry, but it makes sense.
You know what sells? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's yes, I guess so, but it's also it's kind of fun, I think, the way it works,
Oh yeah.
and there is some history, and there's a controversy as to whether or not Jack the Ripper was a woman or not. There's
Hmm.
all sorts of, now again, we'll see if anyone can ever figure it out. But we did some historical things that were cool, like the first scene where she enters this virtual reality, which by the way was created with a combination of AI and some CGI. And some people said, "Oh, Charlie, you hate CGI, and what's this deal with AI?" And well, I mean, if you tell a story about someone wearing this virtual helmet, goes into this virtual landscape, I mean, what tools can you use to create something that looks different? If I had all the money in the world and someone said, "Well, yeah, let's build London circa 1880 and make it perfect," it's like, well, that's not what you would expect to see in a virtual, environment. So I think we did a pretty good job there. Now, again, there's only a few minutes in the whole movie where she or the guy Richard is in, or the other character is in the virtual world. Otherwise, 90% of the movie is in the real world, and there's no trickery, there's no CGI. It's a, a tale of someone kind of science gone wrong maybe. So I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of the way we use the technology. Now, apropos sort of your question, the second movie, which I'm also incredibly excited about, it'll be out in October, is called Death Streamer. And once again, I've taken a sort of a classic vampire tale and put a new spin on it. So again, without spoiling anything, Death Streamer is about a decadent vampire who for reasons has managed to come back into this mansion that he previously, or he still owned, but he was away for a while, gathering wicked forces. But anyway, he's in this mansion, and he not only has these opulent and decadent parties, and he takes the girls down to the kill room, but when he kills them, he live streams their deaths. And there's a reason for that in the story arc. So yes, it's again, it's a character driven, I think one of my best. I'm really excited about this movie. And when we look through his point of view of the glasses, we kind of created a vibe that I hope will be credible and creepy for people who are thinking, okay, so this is a vampire, obviously hungry for blood, looking through these glasses that also live stream his death, their deaths rather. And the technical side of this that is kind of amazing, because in this case I wrote the story, not the script. What's cool about it is this was inspired when about 8-9 months ago, I read that there was a joint venture between Meta and Ray-Ban, and they were coming out with these sunglasses, basically, where you can push a button and live stream in 4K, whatever you're looking at. So being a bit of a technology freak, I go, fuck, I need these glasses right away, right away. And they came and I put them on and you can record up to a minute as well. So you can record up to a minute or you can live stream until the battery dies. So I'm walking around my office. I'm thinking, all right, well, kind of looks like I just have a camera. I mean, I see what the audience is seeing. But then I went to a mirror, and that's when it freaked me out because you're wearing these glasses, you're seeing yourself in the mirror. There's no camera. The camera is a tiny little thing in the glasses. So I thought there's got to be a movie in this, and that's why I invented the idea of the live stream vampire story. So, and another really cool thing, which no one knows about, but you'll be the first to hear because I just decided literally yesterday to do this, and the press release is coming out in a day or two, or maybe they'll leak something today. But so, in order to make Death Streamer, it required one of the two sets that were required was a decadent old church, and there's a reason for that. And sometimes life and the way things happen in my life are kind of crazy, amazing. So we're in Cleveland. We have a great time there making some of our movies. I bought years ago what was essentially a mansion, but a wreck in a really nice part of town. This is like the beginning of COVID. And my idea there was, okay, let me reuse this huge house that was formerly spectacular, sort of as a living, breathing movie set. So I did just that. We painted different rooms. We shot about 10 movies there. Actors would come, stay in part of the house, and go downstairs to the set, as it were, and shoot. We shot Baby Oopsie there. We shot a whole bunch of movies there. And then little by little, we restored the house and because Cleveland is so cool with great locations, I thought, well, let's now make the house beautiful the way it was 120 years ago, whenever it was built, the turn of the last century, and use it as a place where the actors and the director of photography, the effects guys can stay. And then let's just go out to various locations. So in my mind, as I'm trying to conceive of sort of this idea of Death Streamer, I figured, well, I may as well use part of the house that we made look beautiful as the decadent home of the vampire. So at least I get some last use out of the house, including a huge 4,000 square foot crazy basement. But the other location that I needed, which is not so easily found, is an old decadent church. And just by unbelievable good timing and good luck, I guess, I have some real estate guys there who helped me buy the house and other things in Cleveland. And I said to them, I said, look, I'm looking for a warehouse, small warehouse, and I plan to build some sets. I may build an interior of a church set, but now that I'm in Cleveland and I'm using the house as a place for people to stay, we need kind of a warehouse to build sets in and stuff. And if you can find a relatively inexpensive warehouse, maybe 5 to 10,000 square feet, let's check it out. So I fly there. Now I'm already kind of conceiving this idea for Death Streamer, and I arrive and they say, we have some warehouses, but something came on the market that's fantastic that may work just as well as a warehouse, but at least you'll be in a cool place. And I said, what is that? And she said, it's a church built in 1890. And I thought, what? I said, yes, Cleveland has a lot of churches. Some of them were in such a state of disrepair, they've been torn down. This one is kind of on the verge of being really messed up. No one's been in it for probably 5 to 10 years. It's a big fixer-upper. Where if it rains in the church. It's a mess. But right away, I'm thinking, God, that sounds like perfect for my movie. Let's go check the church out. So I get there, and of course, I've been lucky, oddball moments in my life with real estate. I walk in there, and I'm just in love with this place. I think, yes, we have to fix the roof. I could build sets in here. It's the perfect location for the, for the movie, and the price was kind of right. And then it went down and it went down because, I don't know, if you have a church and unless you find a weird movie guy makes horror movies and wants to turn it into a kind of a location for sets, I don't know who's going to buy that church. But it was also in a pretty good part of town, 15 minutes from our house, 10 minutes from downtown Cleveland. So I brought my guy who's been helpful for years who's like the guy who can build a house if he wants to, but he fixed up the mansion that we all hang in. And I said, Steve, what do you think? He said, this is a disaster. He said, this is the roof alone will cost this, will cost that. And the more he told me it was not going to work, the more I was totally into doing it. So I managed to buy the church in short order. In a matter of weeks, we got some amazing people to come and kind of rebuild the roof so it wouldn't be raining in the church. And literally a week later, I'm there shooting Deathstreamer. So now, and there's a fun end to the story. Well, there's no end because the story keeps continuing. But now what's happened is shot the movie, continued to clean up the church. It's still a wreck. It looks like a total haunted church. I mean, there's black mold, which of course we got to clean up. There's the rafters. We discovered a couple secret passageways. It's wood, ornate, a stone exterior. I mean, it's if you wanted a set for a haunted church and that was what your movie was about, you wouldn't have to do much. Just bring in the actors. So I thought I was there a week ago, and I thought maybe what I should do, just for the fun of it, is do an event there just before Halloween. And the event would be sort of a reduced roadshow, because I used to go on the road and do a crazy act essentially and cut heads off and bring people up on stage and inspire girls to take their tops off. It was like a demented Ozfest. So I'd do a reduced roadshow. I would premiere Deathstreamer, which was shot mainly at the church at this event. I would have celebrity guests, basically make it like a 4-hour crazy event and, charge whatever. It'd be very intimate because the church only seats a little under 200 people. It's not huge. So I literally am announcing it today or tomorrow. It's called, I forget exactly what we called it, but like Charles Mann's Church of Chills. And there'll be celebrity guests, giveaways, the road show, the premiere of Deathstreamer. So, and that's the 26th of October. So that's the Saturday before Halloween. So people actually can come to the church if you're in Cleveland. And we're going to do some sort of live virtual thing. So you'll be able to access it online too, because it's so fun. And I don't want people to feel like crap. I'm in Montana. I can't get to Cleveland so easily.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, what a journey, like you say, that's still evolving, still turning. You've always got something new in the chamber. That much we
Always.
know.
Well, you can't. The minute you slow down, it's like the picture of Dorian Gray. Like that's it. That's it. It's over. You age, and then I don't know. You lay down and you don't get up. But no, this church has been a blessing in a way. Not just because the movie we shot there turned out great, Deathstreamer, but now we'll see how this goes. But if it goes well enough, I think it will. Even the few people who know about it, like, oh my God, let me buy a ticket, because 200 seats go really, really quickly. So it's going to be, let's put it this way, an extremely unique show with the celebrities. We may have a musical guest, the movie, the road show, all the madness. It's going to be a 4-hour mash.
That is amazing. Yeah, and like we said, we'll look forward to the next film and all that's to
Yeah,
come. Real quick as we close
yeah,
out here, I want to step back. We're looking forward, but I would love to look back very quickly with
yeah,
400
sure.
films to your name. We look at the Full Moon catalog. I mean, you've had some wild productions. I'm stuff like Shrunken Heads or
Yeah,
Head of the Family. I mean, apparently head movies stick out to me, but
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
but for you, like, what do you consider maybe the most outrageous or bizarre film that you've brought into the world, or at the very least, that's just memorable to you, where you're just like, we did that, didn't we?
Well, I've never followed a trend, even though sometimes to my detriment. When slasher movies were the thing, that you made a decent one with a good title, you made money. I had people who were my buyers of Blockbuster Video back in the day on Hollywood Video saying, make a Friday the 13th type movie, make a this, make a that. And I just thought, why? Everyone else are making those movies. I want to make movies that are unique, that hopefully stand the test of time. And I want to kind of jump into these trends. So again, a lot of my movies are, they're definitely different and weird. I mean, Head of the Family, which is one of my favorites. I mean, that could have been shot a year ago. It doesn't follow a trend. It's sort of a timeless, bizarro story. No one can say, oh, everyone was into the big head movies. You made one. Well, no one has made one, and no one's made one since. And I do plan to make Bride of the Head of the Family. So, well, I'm dedicated to doing that for the last 20 years. But yeah, I'm glad of the ones that have done so well, that we made a number of them, going back to Ghoulies, and then of course movies like Puppet Master. We're going to be making our 13th Puppet Master next year. Puppet Master, Leech Woman, that's definitely going to happen. Demonic Toys series, the Trancers series. And let's not forget Evil Bong. I mean, Evil Bong, I made 9 of them over 20 years, and they're fun. You know, people enjoy them. They don't pretend to be much more than what the title is. And nothing's greater than a title that doesn't even require a log line. You don't need anything. Just what's that about, dude? Evil Bong, done. That's the whole pitch. So yeah, there's so many movies, and I've numbered my movies. And one of the things I've also done, I should mention, that's been really successful only in the last 2 months, is we started a Patreon program tied to Pulp Noir, where people can kind of go in behind the scenes, see how this whole thing happens. And there are various tiers as usual. I didn't know much about Patreon, and but the coolest tier, which is I'll agree or admit is pricey, is apropos. It's called the head of the family tier. It's the most expensive, most awesome tier, and it's $250 a month, or as long as you stick around. But what's cool about it is at first you get $100 every month gift card to our store. You get all sorts of crazy stuff and shirts and all the things you would imagine. But the coolest part is you get an executive producer credit on every Pulp Noir movie. And that's a real credit on screen in IMDb. And then I'm able to, for those head of the family members, do things that I can't do for everyone, but I'll do for them. They kind of like my posse of executive producers, and it helps because the business sucks now. There's nothing good about low budget independent filmmaking. We make these movies at a loss. There's no profit in these films, and we just hope it keeps the brand alive, and we can sell merch, and we do a lot that makes it all make some sense. But gone are the days where you can make a small movie and actually make a profit. So that's not going to happen until everything changes. So the head of the family people, we've got about 50 of them now. And it helps every month. It brings a little money in. It helps towards the budget. But the coolest thing that I can do as a filmmaker, other than obviously the executive producer credit, is I can be on set. I do this all the time just as a reference. If I'm shooting a scene, and let's say you saw Quadrant, right? So let's say there's a scene in Quadrant where our gal is kind of seduces this other girl who she brings home ultimately to kill her, takes her top off. The other girl's got the top off, and there's this kind of romantic moment. The next thing you know, she's killing, and there's blood everywhere. So when I shoot a scene like that, and I do this for all the scenes I shoot, I set the actors up, get them all ready, sit in my director's chair. On my left, I usually have my monitor, which shows what the camera's seeing, and on the right, there's the scene. In this case, the girls who then kill each other and blood flies. And what I do is I take my iPhone, and I hold it up sort of like this, and I push a button, and I record what the monitor is seeing, so I kind of can see what the camera saw, and then what the actual scene is. So let's say the scene is a minute. I record it, I stop it, and I did this for years, and now I realize with the Patreon thing that I can in real time push one button and send that shot to all the head of the family members, and it's in real time. And these scenes are always in a way fun and sometimes challenging to make, but there's always funny shit. I mean, at the end, you can imagine both girls covered in blood, spitting out blood, boobies flying, and boop, I send that to the head of the family members, and they're really digging it. And if you do that enough, which I try to, then they're also the very first to see the movie before it comes out, to the public, so to speak. So they can then see, oh, now I get how it all works, the scene, the thing, the girls, the knife. So that head of the family tier, is super fun. You get a credit, and it does help us, even though it's not helping really finance a big part of the movie. Still, you get enough people at $250, it does contribute to the budget. So that's Patreon. I think you just go to Full Moon or Pulp Noir. I forget how you get there, but we're easy to find. So more and more, it's a world where connecting. I mean, I've always connected with fans, that from day one, but I've also always numbered my movies. So back to number 400, and actually Death Streamer is number 401. I have no doubt that at some point in the next 4 or 5 years we'll crack 500. I have no doubt.
That
Or
is awesome.
maybe 10 years. I don't know. We'll
Don't get ahead of
figure
yourself.
it out.
Well, that is fantastic. And again, this has been so fun. Thank you for sharing just the excitement in your world. I mean, the things that are going on. The Full Moon, who's always been about surprises, and you never
Yeah.
knew what was coming next. And so
Yeah,
that's great to
well,
see that.
thank you. Yeah, and people should check out Quadrant. We released it. Another thing we did briefly is we unlike the usual model, at first you come out on streaming, and then people can like, rent it on Amazon, and then a few months later it's on Tubi for free, and then a few months later it's on, if you're lucky, you get it on physical media. What we did is 2 weeks ago tomorrow, when we released Quadrant, we released it across all platforms all on the same day. You can get it on Amazon. It's free on Tubi. You can buy it on Blu-ray, VHS, by the way, Blu-ray, DVD.
I
And
wish it was on
no,
VHS.
it's on VHS, dude. We released it on
I got mine right here.
VHS.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so that way, you can see it however you want to see it.
Hey.
And it's been kind of successful that way. I think people enjoy, I think people watch a movie on Tubi, don't care about the commercials. They're not the same. Usually the customer is going to buy a Blu-ray. And the people, so whoever's on our streaming side, and thank God we have enough subscribers to help with all this, they're probably not necessarily going to buy the physical copy or see it on Tubi. So I just figured break tradition and just release these pulp noir movies all on the same day, all media, all outlets on the same day. So that'll be the same for Death Streamer. We're about to set the date, but it'll be probably October 11th is my guess.
All right. Well, great. Well, we will make sure that everybody knows where to look and where to find you.
Thank
And
you.
no,
Thank you.
no sign of stopping. So that is wonderful to see.
All right. Well, thanks very much. And yeah, check it out. I think you guys will like the movie, and Death Streamer is definitely a trip. So that's next month.